Hello, everyone. I am Deb Scher, Artistic Director of Avaloch Farm Music Institute, and I am absolutely delighted to welcome you to Made at Avaloch, our new series created to celebrate the variety and excellence of the work Avaloch has supported. Each event will highlight one or two projects and will include discussions with musicians about process, as well as recorded performances of completed work. So far, Avaloch has hosted over 1,000 musicians in hundreds of groups and including dozens of composers. We hope you enjoy the diversity and depth of the genre and approaches to the creative process which will be presented here. Before we begin, however, I would like to thank a few people. First, our administrative team, Mason Donovan and Jenna Hall. Second, our musical team, Hannah Collins, Mike Compitello, Catherine Dowling, who joined me in creating these events. And last but certainly not least, Fred Tauber, without whose generosity the vision and inspiration of Avaloch would never have come to be. So thank you for joining us for this ongoing celebration of creative work made at Avaloch.
Hi everyone, I'm here this evening with Quince Ensemble, 4 amazing singers who are deep Avaloch veterans and some of my favorite people. I'm Michael Compitello, and this evening we're going to hear 2 really amazing pieces that Quince has been kind enough to share the recordings of us with. So what are you sharing with us, and how was it made at Avaloch?
So we were at Avaloch in 2015 and 2016, and in that time we worked on a lot of different material. We rehearsed for the first time Love Fail by David Lang, and prepared for our first performance of that piece, and then we've since recorded that piece, so we'll share one of our live performances of that, just one movement. And we also met the composer Courtney Bryan at Avaloch and instantly bonded with her and loved her music and just her as a person. So since then we've been able to work with her on a piece that will eventually be premiered by Chicago Symphony Orchestra's new music series curated by Missy Mazzoli, Music Now. But we were able to, from our own houses, record one of the movements of that piece.
That's awesome. Great. So before we listen to a little bit of David's piece, can you tell me a little bit about the story of how you got involved with the piece you're going to share?
Yeah. So we've known about this piece for a number of years. It was commissioned by Anonymous 4, and I believe premiered in 2012. And we started singing together as a group in 2010. So we were looking for repertoire. We were looking for pre-existing pieces for treble quartet because there's not a ton of repertoire. A lot of what we sing is works we've commissioned ourselves. But fortunately for us, Anonymous 4 had approached David Lang previously and asked for this piece, and David sort of went down a pathway of Tristan and Isolde stories, the sort of ill-fated love over time. At our album release party, he actually talked about it a little bit as at his own wedding to his wife, they kind of came to this realization of, well, we're sort of dooming ourselves in this ceremony because we'll watch each other, you know, one of us will die. This will end, and it will end in a lot of heartache. And he wanted to sort of capture that in writing. And so he looked at all of these different historical writings from, I think, Hildegard and Béroul, and then mixed it with these contemporary stories and poems by writer Lydia Davis. So there's these sort of historical versions and then these contemporary versions of unhappy or fractured love stories.
Oh, that's great. And so and you're not going to share the whole piece, right? You're just going to share one movement. What movement is it?
We're sharing The Wood and the Vine, right?
Yeah, this is The Wood and the Vine from Omaha. We performed
So
this in
maybe
Omaha.
Carrie should tell the story of The Wood and the Vine.
Yeah.
Soloista.
Yes, I want to know.
In the song and right before it.
Sure. So The Wood and the Vine is a story of two lovers who fall for each other, and it's against their family's wishes for them to be together. And so they're separated, but even once they're separated, they still feel this connection. And in the end, the one of the lovers returns where he met the woman that he fell in love with, and he writes he writes this note to her in the woods, and all it says is his name. and then he knows that she'll know exactly what it means, and then there's this long interpretation of what he knows that he means, what he intends to tell her through this letter. And it's a beautiful piece, and it's very cleverly constructed because it's about it dwells on this metaphor of a tree with a vine growing into it, and that the vine growing into it makes it so that it's impossible for either of these things to live if they're separated. And so he writes this beautiful duet of two treble voices at an octave apart, echoing each other, or not even echoing each other, just singing together as if both voices are simultaneously saying the words of this letter. And it's really incredible, clever writing.
I have to say, oh, sorry, Amanda.
No, well, I was just going to say the parallel octaves are my favorite moment of the entire piece. Yeah.
I was going to say the same thing. The first time, so when we were at Avaloch, we were actually sight reading through this to see if Love Fail was a piece we were going to try and pursue, because it's a big project. It's about an hour of music. And we read it down. The first couple of movements are shorter, for the most part, or simpler. And then we got to this one. And when we got to that parallel octave section, sight reading, it was like, oh, we need to do this piece. I'd never heard it before. I went on faith that I was going to like it, but reading it down was just amazing. So I'm so excited to share it with everyone.
And I think when I heard the recording of it the first time, I hope this isn't too inappropriate, but I sent everyone the water droplets emoji, just like, yes, this is why I became a musician.
TMI. No, I was gonna say, I forgot that he only writes his name, and then I was thinking of funny ways, like his name is actually an address, like, or his name is a verb, or something, like, because she would know exactly what it means, but his name is Bob. I don't know. I don't know.
Oh man, amazing. Well,
his name is Colonel Sanders. Exactly what it means.
Gosh, okay, well, why don't we watch it? Let's take a look.
Now I'll tell you a story. The wood and the vine, the wood and the vine. That is also the truth. It is the truth. The wood and the vine. 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 Don't be surprised, another grieves when love is far away. Sadness sick with despair. He stayed there for years until that time the he went back to get, to try, to hope, to get a message to his love. He hid in the woods by where she lived and found a path where she might walk. He cut a branch and on it he carved a single word, his name, and left it on the path where she might find it. The wood and the vine. And she would know the message, and she would know just what the message meant. Later she came along the same path, and she saw the peace of the Lord. She knew exactly what it was. She saw the single sword carved upon it, and she knew. This is what she knew. Dearest Lord, this is my message. Dearest Lord, I send it to you. Dearest Lord, I have waited for you. Dearest Lord, I have waited to see you. Dearest Lord, even now I am waiting for you. In the woods, I cannot live without you. I cannot live without you. I cannot live without you. And and around the branch, it twined and wasn't digged into the flesh, so tight that the two of them become one. That you become one. If someone pulls the two apart, then both will die. So it is with us, my love. So it is with us, you and I. So it is with us, my love. So it is with us. You cannot live without me. I cannot live without you. I cannot live without you. You cannot live without me. She went a short way into the woods and found him, and they wept. They wept with joy
Thanks so much for sharing that. Such a beautiful piece and such a incredible moment in kind of an epic piece. Can you tell me where and when this was recorded?
I can take this one. I thought Amanda was going to do it because it's in her hometown.
You don't know.
But we recorded this, or the video was from the Echo Nova series, which was filmed at Kaneko, the museum, an art museum in Omaha, Nebraska, where Amanda is from and lives, but she's not right now. She's on vacation. So yeah, we recorded that back in February of this year, so pre-pandemic, obviously.
Slightly pre-pandemic.
Just slightly. I mean, it was one of the last things we did right before March, I believe. So,
you know, and that actually reminds me that one thing I was saying to someone before this conversation, that the four of you are like an ultimate Avaloch ensemble for me, because you go into hyperdrive when you're on the campus, and part of that is because not all four of you are living in the same place, right? So I wonder if before we talk about the next thing you're going to share, you can talk a little bit about what that's been like to be sort of a medium to long distance ensemble.
Yeah. I feel like hyperdrive is kind of our normal
normalizing the
normal stasis, normal mood. I don't know. Yeah, that's kind of what we do. But when we were at Avaloch learning Lovefale, I believe that was 2016, right? That was
2015.
It was it? Oh my God, it was so long ago. But like most of our residencies that we do, even outside of Avaloch, but Avaloch in particular, because Avaloch gives us so much time and there's so much space, and we can really go into super hyperdrive when we're there, where we were learning so many different things while we're there, both times. And that's how we need it to be, because we are long distance. We're so used to that at this point, where we learn all of our repertoire individually, and then we schedule a week in the late summer and early winter to just completely immerse ourselves in the music and rehearse nonstop.
Yeah. Since 2011, we haven't all lived in the same place. So it's been 9 years of being a long distance ensemble. And we learned early that Skype rehearsals, at least in 2011, were horrible. So we don't do them. So yeah, if Avaloch isn't around, we are very sad people. So
one thing that I think that we figured out is Liz always makes a rehearsal schedule for us that's pretty specific. So she'll block off a chunk of time and then write how much time we're going to work on each piece. And she's really good at calculating how much time each piece might need based on, you know, the complexity of the piece and whatever that might mean. And she'll typically schedule a little more time than we need. And then we just go until we mentally crash and need introvert time. And then at Avaloch in particular, we all sort of rush on the cookie coffee station.
That's right.
And then go for a walk in the woods, get some bug bites, kick a ball or something.
A lot of bug bites,
Don't forget the ice cream. Don't forget the ice cream.
Whatever we have to do to like pacify our inner rage at like why we try to do such difficult music all the time. And then we come back and do it all again.
Yeah. And I was just thinking what was missing from that recording was a handful of cookies.
Yes.
Yeah, they're just out of frame.
They're out of frame. Yeah. I mean, and one thing that I remember is how integral the four of you became to the community at Avaloch while you're there, even to the point where you were able to develop collaborations with people that were there working on other projects. So I wonder if you could talk about that a little bit.
Yeah.
Met Mike Miller there. Yeah, Liz, you want to talk about that?
Sure. So in 2016, we were there learning a bunch of repertoire for the upcoming season rather than focusing on the Lang. And we met, it's funny because I just moved to Kansas City, and one of the composers there was Michael Miller, who's still a Kansas City-based composer. And I think Amanda and he started talking a little bit about a project we been considering for a while, which was music of the Dust Bowl. And Michael's sister works at the Woody Guthrie Archive in Oklahoma, and said, you know, that's right up my alley. Maybe we can talk. I don't have it. At the time, he didn't have any vocal music, but we kind of went on faith, and we're like, Michael, your music's amazing. Let's talk. At the same time, Courtney Bryan was at Avaloch with Duo Noir, I think, who we've split a bill with from time to time, this amazing guitar duo. And she presented on her music one night, and it was her as yet unheard, this oratorio on the wrongful death of Sandra Bland.
I remember that.
And
yeah.
And Helga Davis was singing.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And we just sat there in awe. I was like, we need Courtney in our lives, please. So we unashamedly begged and asked Courtney over the course of a while to write us something. Mm-hmm. So, and that blossomed into this Chicago Symphony Music Now commission and collaboration. But Amanda, you should talk more about the Dust Bowl project.
Oh yeah.
That this is part of.
Yeah, well, so when Michael and I started nerding out about Woody Guthrie, I had sort of brought that to Quince a couple times, like, what do we think about Woody Guthrie? And we weren't sure how that would make sense with four treble voices, because guitar is so integral to his sound, and the melodic content is like so specific to his voice. And anyway, so we didn't know how his music would work with our voices, but then Michael Miller sort of like turned this whole concept on its head. And so he created this 2-movement piece, one with a bunch of overtone singing, which Liz just like, the heavens open when she does it. And then this sort of like Ralph Stanley inspired solo in the middle. And then in the second half, or the third section, I guess, is this close harmony arrangement of Do, Re, Mi. And it's just perfect. It's like totally not how I would have imagined Woody Guthrie going, but it's perfect for us. And then Carrie and I have each written pieces for the program that are about our grandmother's stories. And Eliza Brown has contributed. So we've been working with a bunch of different composers to reflect on ideas of the Dust Bowl, whether that's literally about that historic period or about this idea of sudden displacement and sort of environmental catastrophe and what that does to people's lives. And so we've ended up kind of dipping into some modern era topics. And then Liz arranged this Woody Guthrie tune, The Deportee, and that it's so heartbreaking. I actually have a hard time singing that piece, and people have said that they've had really strong emotional reactions to that one as well. It's about migrant workers. And so the program is very personal, and also it has a lot of sort of universal characteristics to it. So we're gonna record that soon, I believe, if we can ever get together again.
I know, yeah. And I'm just assuming, based on your MO, that you four are in different places. You're not just in 4 bedrooms of a single house right now or something.
If only.
I know.
I was about to say earlier, like pre-pandemic, like it seems so long ago now. And in some ways, because we've always been a long distance ensemble, we like know how to do this sort of, but it is really such a big learning curve creating our little home studios. But also we see each other, well, we used to see each other like twice a month for long periods of time, and now we don't get to see each other at all in person. So it is still very, very different. And I don't want Amanda on vacation right now.
Yeah, we were supposed to be together this week recording the Dust Bowl.
I know, we were going to be recording this week. So it's such
But it's interesting how time is so strange for projects, because, for example, we've been trying to commission Courtney since 2016.
Wow.
And we were immediately just so like impressed by her as an artist. And so it took until this year we were going to premiere her piece in March. So it took 4 years for that project. So, you know, when we think about losing a season sort of, you know, with the pandemic, we lose a lot of time, but also so many of our projects that we've commissioned last year aren't set to be premiered until 2022. So It's like we are losing a lot of things, but there's still so much to look forward to that's already in the works.
Yeah, and I'm really excited that you're able to share a little bit about this. I mean, what you told me that it's a part of a larger piece for Chicago Symphony, right? So tell us a little bit about this piece of Courtney's.
Well, Courtney doesn't write small pieces. I feel like her shortest piece is probably 25 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
And when we were initially talking to her, she'd said that she wanted to write a Requiem, and so I'm not sure how it was originally. We were just going to commission her for a Requiem, but then it became involved with Music Now, so I'm not sure how that happened.
They actually reached out to Courtney. I believe Missy Mazzoli reached out to Courtney when she was curating her series. I believe her tenure is over at the CSO now, but yeah, I think Missy got in touch with Courtney and asked her to be a part of the series in some way, of the Music Now series. And Courtney thought of us and this project to showcase. And she was excited by the idea of pairing us with instruments as well. So
it allowed her to kind of expand on what we'd originally commissioned, which was like an 8 to 12 minute long piece. Something that was portable, that was just the four of us, that we could take anywhere and sing as part of our Dust Bowl program, as part of any program, which, when we commission, we never know what's going to result, so we don't know where it will fit. And it turns out this one will work really well on our Dust Bowl program. Okay. But the rest of the piece is then a lot more text, a lot more sections, and then it's with, what was it, like tuba, trombone, bass, clarinet, like small wind ensemble and percussion maybe. So yeah, I mean, we were all really disappointed. It was the first thing canceled back in March. It was going to be premiered like March 23rd. And so we were all set to go to Chicago. It was that weekend. I was, about to drive when we got the announcement that it wasn't going to happen. So
we had this whole look, like our dresses.
Oh,
like,
man.
Colored, like we color coordinated.
You have like a Dorothea Lange thing happening?
Oh my gosh. No, this was going to be like, because this is the CSO thing.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
We had to look glam.
Fancy as heck.
Normally we look sort of like new music nerdy hipster. Or I don't know how you describe what we do.
I feel like Liz always looks glam. Like we needed to look more like Liz. You know what I mean? Like Liz was herself, and then we needed to like glam it up. Well, I did.
That's the style inspiration wall.
Yeah, we needed to add like a lot of sequins and glitter. That's essentially what happened.
It's hard to do for a remote concert.
It's true.
It is not. It's easier because you don't have to travel with sequins or glitter.
Yeah, I haven't.
You could wear all of the jewelry you own and like a piece of fabric. That's horrible, but yeah. That's another conversation, I think.
Yeah, that's a whole other Made at Avaloch.
I mean, this is one of the things that we love about Avaloch is that I would pack like 2 pairs of sweatpants and just get on the road, like we didn't have to consider all of the logistics of life. It wasn't stressful. It was.
Yeah, we knew we were just going to be eating cookies and ice cream the whole time. So
flexible waisted pants. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Amanda and Kayleigh were able to fulfill a lifelong dream for, I forget which of the two of them, our first year at Avaloch.
First year.
Our first year at Avaloch. Kayleigh had always wanted to, is it a pie in the face?
Pie in the face. Pie in the face. Who doesn't want a pie in the face?
Me, I don't.
Okay, well,
but I'll videotape it.
Pete had a couple extra slices of banana cream pie one night. And so Kayleigh and I were like, it's on. And we finally got to pie each other in the face. Can we show that video?
I don't know if we have a video of that.
Okay, well, that's for Avaloch After Hours, maybe.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, our new series. Well, so tell me about what's the text or the inspiration for Courtney's piece?
The text for the piece is kind of, I believe from Ecclesiastes. It's some kind of sacred text. Oh no, Kayleigh went away.
Bad.
She'll be back. But it's the sort of, if you're familiar with the Catholic tradition of Ash Wednesday, the sort of, we are dust, from dust to dust. Mm-hmm. The sort of the circle of life, or I think she refers to it as the great death spiral. Okay.
and she grew up Episcopalian,
Okay.
and she has just like self-described herself as a music or like a minister. Like the spirituality of her artistry is essential to what she does.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that there's like a lot of her work has sort of a spiritual aspect to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Why don't we watch it? All right. Let's see.
Hi, my name is Courtney Bryan, and I am the composer of this piece you are going to hear. Dust to Dust is part of a larger piece called Requiem that I wrote for Quince Vocal Ensemble and the Chicago Symphony Orchestra. The orchestra's composer-in-residence, Missy Mazzoli, invited us to premiere this past March, but what you're hearing now is the world premiere of this section of the piece. And I just want to send my condolences to all who have lost someone during this time, whether to COVID-19 or things related to COVID-19, and all who are grieving in general. Want to send condolences and hope that this music can provide some peace for you. Please continue to take care of yourself. Let's take care of each other. And thank you.
Dust. All come from dust. All come from dust. All come from dust. From dust. All come from dust. All come from dust. All come from dust. Dust, dust, to dust, to dust, to dust, to dust. From dust to all return. From dust to dust to dust all we return. From
Gosh, what a beautiful piece. I'm super excited to hear about the premiere when it happens. But thank you again for sharing these two amazing pieces. And so I'm curious, what's next for the four of you? What are you working on now, and how can we follow what you're up to?
Well, we are continuing to kind of work with our Dust Bowl program. We, as we mentioned before, the recording is postponed, but we're continuing to kind of prepare things. Otherwise, in lieu of performing live for the foreseeable future, we have been gathering all of our resources in asynchronous rep, or our repertoire that can be performed by performers who are not in the same place, or does not need to be aligned vertically in such a way that we don't always have to use click tracks. We don't always have to align things, which can be done, but is a little bit soul sucking. So we've also already performed a number of distance residencies where we work with student composers in varying places. We're currently doing a project with the Vermont College of Fine Arts. And so we're doing Zoom calls with composers remotely, and then we'll be performing some of that in a week or two for a video premiere of all these pieces. What else is coming up? Kayleigh, I'm probably forgetting things.
Yeah, I will say the distance residencies is really something that Amanda has worked on our website too, so you can find out a little bit more about that. But we did it with the Boston Conservatory at Berklee College in April, like right after the pandemic and everything started. So we also have something scheduled with DeBoer in the fall. So whether things are in person or remote there, we're already doing a distance residency there, which we're really excited about. And again, Amanda has been really perfecting her audio engineering and videography skills. So we've been recording student composer pieces, and we have a couple programs that maybe we don't want to reveal too much about yet, but we have some online things scheduled for the fall and in the early spring, some big world premieres, and those will all be recorded from our home studios. So Amanda will be working, and doing her awesome thing of whatever the heck is involved with audio engineering that I have no idea about. So,
and the other thing that we have, we sort of took a pause in late May and June with our Patreon, but we do have a Patreon page. We like to put up, that's mostly for sort of funny videos or announcements. We did a happy hour hang with our Patreon followers, and one of our dear friends has requested that we do a Quince Cabaret night.
Oh man, yeah.
So look out for that, and that'll be announced on our Patreon first, probably, just because it's a convenient way to not spam people. We know everyone who's there wants to hear about what we're doing, and you can follow us for $1 a month if you want. So that's a great way to be sort of on the inside track, and we have a newsletter too, so you can sign up for that on our website.
And eventually we'll record our Dust Bowl program someday.
We're gonna do it.
Someday.
We're gonna do it.
That's great. Yeah,
we could all wear masks. We could do that.
Oh,
someday.
It would be somewhat appropriate still.
Right?
Weirdly.
Gosh, man.
I mean, yeah.
Well, thank you for taking the time to join us and to share these two incredible pieces with everybody. I'll admit I miss seeing the four of you in the summer. And I definitely miss the probably the most accurate tarot card reading I've ever gotten. Amanda, terrifyingly accurate. And I hope that the four of you can get together soon and share the results with everybody.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us. And yeah, Avaloch has been a real kind of impetus for us for long-term friendships and collaborations. So we're really hopeful and excited to come back to Avaloch someday in some form.
Yeah. Have we all been there as different ensembles as well?
Mm-hmm.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Someday soon, fingers crossed, knock on wood, all of the things.
We will. Well, thank you again, and we'll see you next time.
Yes.
Bye.
Thank you.